What's up, Pastor?
What's up? What's up?
Good day, sir. Oh. Well, I'm working and listening, but real quick, boy, I am sucking up all this information from Gilbert Law Summaries. Thank you.
Now think about it for a second, sir.
Yes,
Since you're
yes,
asking
yes.
those questions. Remember that Missouri code
Mm-hmm.
that I shared with you a while back? What did it say?
Everything I'm pointing out.
So I'm actually trying to find it so we can actually go over it. Let's go to files.
Because this was literally what.
It.
Oh, let me go back to the chat.
Right, here we go. I'll share it in the chat. Now, this is out of Missouri, remember? Or Misery.
Misery, yep.
In all cases not otherwise provided for by law, the father and mother with equal powers, rights, and duties while living, and in the case of death of either parent, the survivor, or when there is no lawful father, you bastard child, you little bastard, then the mother, if living, is the natural guardian of their children and has custody and care of their persons and education. Why do they say and has custody and care of their persons?
That's the agent appointment right there.
That's the agency.
Yep.
Okay, now.
So I do have it right with the lineage. If both parents were to pass or one parent was to pass, then
yeah,
okay.
That lays out the rights. And then go, when the estate of a minor is derived from a parent, estate,
yes.
Did the baby die? No.
Yeah.
The placenta did.
Yep.
That's how
the baby was passed to the parents.
The parent is the natural guardian and has all the powers of a conservator appointed by a court with respect to property derived from him, except that no court order or authorization is necessary to exercise these powers, and the natural guardian may invest, sell, and reinvest the estate of the minor in such property as is reasonable and prudent. What have I talked about? As it said, conservator. What is a conservator? One who has all the investing power like a trustee without the liability of the trustees.
Hence an agent, yeah. And a trustee can act as an agent, so you can have both roles with its separate duties underneath
it. A conservator is an agent. If you're going to be, now think about it, power of attorney, executor, guardian, conservator, trustees, CEO, governor of the state, it's all agents.
Yes. Yep, that's the 2 pages before this page I'm on right now. Yes.
So is that only a Missouri code, or is that
no, that's everywhere.
That specifically is a Missouri code. And what have I said, Tim? If you understand the underlying principles, you don't need the code.
Right.
Because the principles are there from the foundation of the world.
So I guess where my question came in, I can go to my mom and have her appoint me, since she's the successor of my father at this time. He died when I was 11.
No, you don't need the appointment, because why? It is an implied agency.
I need to go further through the book then. I'm not there yet. I'm at the minors part, and it just jumped off the page at me that I may just go to mom and have her appoint me.
No, they appoint you when your mother gives it to you.
Gives birth certificate, social, and that stuff, or?
Yeah, and you start working. You start your words and
day
actions.
Of appointment.
Now, if you go in the file section and type in express and look for a document that starts with the number 15, express or implied. This is out of Amjor. Look at the second paragraph.
You're mudding me on my own thing I preach on all the time. You're good. You're right. Yeah, it's an implied transfer. It's not express. I got you.
Yes, it's an implied because it is based on deductions and inferences from all the evidence involving the case and the words and actions.
Yeah, actus reus comes immediately in the moment of employment and opening up a checking and savings in my own name. Yep, there it is. Okay,
well,
cool. That's what I was looking for.
Not in your name.
Well,
the name.
name. Yeah,
Stop saying my name. That's
too soon. That was literally a natural mistake. Yeah, it's like saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, I'm good. I'm gonna mute out.
Okay.
I was going to ask with the implied, right? Now, I think it was like a week or two ago, you guys were talking about implied versus express trust. And that I think it was something like implied trust are not enforceable in court because it's hearsay, correct?
Do what now?
An implied trust is not enforceable in court because it's hearsay, right? Like an implied contract.
An implied contract can be enforced. That's why I tell people, these people running around saying, show me the wedding signature. It's not a valid argument.
That's just off of UCC code for securities. That's where they're getting that from. I think that's the only one that really describes a wet ink signature. And they're even trying to get around that now because of all the digital currencies that are coming of age.
Which is going to become the mark of the beast system.
Right.
But the implied trust idea isn't too far off because I believe by operation of law, when you're in a court setting, the court's trying to set up the constructive trust, which is all implied.
They set it up the minute they created the case.
Yeah, all the structures there. They've appointed that. That's the top part of the first page of the entire case. Yes. It's all pointed out who the parties are and what their roles should be. Right. We overlook that entire thing. That's where I was headed with that. We don't look at that and take it for. We just say, oh, they just know our name. No, that's a rebuttable fact, or well, I shouldn't say fact, but it's a rebuttable presumption, right?
Yeah. I'm going to stir up a little crap storm on that video I posted last night on YouTube because now it's going up on TikTok. All these people running around saying that when you search this stuff, you're finding your QSUP. No, that phone call with QSUP.com was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was enjoyable to listen to this morning, yeah. It made a whole lot of sense. That fellow just laid it straight. He didn't have to say much either. He really was not the talkative type. You were having to kind of wrench it out of him.
Uh-huh. I didn't have to wrench it out of him at all.
No, I guess that's the wrong terminology. What I meant was he just wasn't very open. He was more of he's going to answer your questions. That's what he was prepared to do.
And you got to know how to
lay out too much explanation. Yeah. He was playing real careful.
I think he actually answered them very well.
Yeah, now straight to the point. I wasn't complaining about it. I was just saying how quiet he was. A lot of, like most folks get real descriptive and talkative. He was just yes, no.
Yeah. That's why I keep saying if you ask the right questions the right way to the right people, you will get your answers.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is excited. The thought of me starting a private bank, he's excited.
How's that process going for you?
Oh, it's going to take a little bit.
Right.
Because I got
It is exciting though.
I got to write up my documents. I got to get the EIN for the bank, and it's going to take a while. Driving a truck, I don't have a lot of time. But I'm definitely, after some of these conversations, I'm actually to the point of saying, yeah, this is what we need to do. And you can set up your own private bank for your personal self. You don't have to do it where you take accounts for other people. Now, I don't kind of recommend that, but because the reason why, a lot of your protections are in a community.
Well, a lot of things too. I think it was you and JD were saying about how to bank properly. Like you put funds in the bank, but you're not telling the bank how to like use those funds. You can tell them to put it into like a certain use it a certain way where they're paying you dividends every month on it. You know what I mean?
Kind of, yes.
And it's like it's their job to do that. And if you go in there and express that that's what you want, and they're not going to do it, then you just take your money out and you go somewhere else, unless they're going to ask you not to take your money out and do it the way you're asking. But it's up to you to ask. You know, they're not just going to do that for you. You got to know. You got to know
Correct.
what their job is. You know.
Yeah, you got to know.
Yeah. So it all comes back to us. Like I don't. Yeah.
Well, with the information that I have compiled from not just my own learning, I now know how to do proper debt discharge, if you want to use the term discharge. I personally don't like the term discharge because it gives the people the wrong mindset, even though it's actually a valid legal term. It's just like the term legalese. Is it a valid word? Yeah. But what does it imply? That I can't understand it. So you already shoot yourself in the foot when you use the term legalese.
Right. That one video I was telling you about was what's his name? Myron Rice, the guy you brought up before. So when I see him, I look out for him because I know you had mentioned him. But he was something about you were talking about earlier with the estate. When you're born, you're in the state, and when you die, you're in the state. So he's saying, why wouldn't you try being in the state while you're alive?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's another thing he was going over with the term the banks use a charge off. And he's saying he was very specific with the way he broke it down. He was saying it's either the first or half part of discharge and the first or last half of set off. And he's saying where one of those terms is the public side and the other term is the private side, and they've taken half of that and put into its own word where it's covering the public and the private side. He's like very detailed but very casual with the way he explained it. And I didn't really look
about it.
much more into it. I was very interested in that explanation.
Well, I want you to think about it for a second.
Right.
Public and private does not mix, right?
That's what I was thinking when I heard. I'm like, well, how are they mixing the two?
So if public and private does not mix, shouldn't you have a public side already created? That's what you do when you go down to the bank,
right?
But you've never created your private side.
No.
But the one thing, I had that conversation with that banker I mentioned to y'all yesterday, and I got some confirmation on things. And the one thing he asked me at the end, he said, what is your ultimate goal in all this? I said, to handle my own affairs. And I said, the Bible says thou shalt not covet. He said, I said, and also it says not to be greedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, most people are imbeciles. Most people cannot manage their own affairs. And if you cannot govern from within, you will be governed from without.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So think about it. If you don't know how to separate things right, and this is why I teach the classes I teach, because I even told the banker yesterday, I said, look, if I put this in, I said, one, this is a trade secret. I said, this is a trade secret of the system. If I put it out in the public, I'm dishonoring the system, for one, and I'm going to get people in trouble. Why? Because if you don't know the basic foundation and you're trying to go play the game the big boys play,
hey,
you're not ready.
You said that many times before.
Yeah.
You know, and not only other people in trouble, you don't want to get yourself in trouble either with people. You know, who was it? It was Dan Truth and the guy he met when he was in jail. The guy that's sitting there trying to help people out, and they go and do something wrong, and they get a little pressure on them, and they're pointing the finger at somebody who's trying to help them, and they end up going to jail for, I think he said, like 7 years. Plus he's got another 7 years of probation or something like that. He's on house arrest for 3 years. That's fucking crazy. For trying to help somebody, you know, like it's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It is.
Just shows you people. It just shows you people, you know, like, oh, I want help, but then they'll turn on you, you know. They don't want that much, you know.
Now, after the information I got confirmation on yesterday,
mm-hmm.
I now can actually say that most of these debt discharge gurus are doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean you won't have success? No. You don't know who you're getting on the other end of the line, right? I mean, that's the thing. People call it a success, and I saw this success, so this must be the right way. No.
I mean, think about it.
I had the conversation with JD the other day about the tax stamp, right? And I showed him the evidence on why the postal stamp is not the right way, and it blew his mind because he said, I never looked at that. I never thought of that. But now he can see. See, you can do it wrong, but if you know how to defend it, you might have victory. But it's better when you do it right and know how to defend it.
Right. With the whole discharge thing, people look at it like it's some like magical thing. Like, oh my God, like it's normal business procedure. So understand what it is, understand what it is, and then there shouldn't be any issue. It's not like some magical thing. Like, understand what it is so you can explain what it is you're doing, so that when you apply it, it's normal. You know, you can have that conversation with these people when you're doing it. If that were to happen, you know, it's not somebody else told me to do this or I saw it online. This is standard procedure, in this realm of banking or business or commerce, whatever you want to label it, this is a normally utilized tool or feature.
Very much so. Let's see here. Upload video. Choose video. Also, Bitstream, you sent me that message. I wasn't really suspicious of that. You ain't gonna worry about no.
And that code you were talking.
Sorry, run that by me again. You broke up there. I apologize.
He probably got a call or something.
Yeah, I think so. He said he looked at something and then I lost him. That's okay. We'll fill in the gaps.
Tim, what were you saying?
I was going to ask Pastor something before he jumped off. When he first started the live, him and Bitstream were talking about some Missouri code dealing with the parent-child relationship. I was going to ask him if he could post it so I could look it up in my state. Try to find something similar.
Yeah, he was pulling that from the Law of Agents book, Gilbert Law summaries that I'm reading through now. It was more of a curiosity question on my side as the lineage of the agency moving around, but it's implied at the time of age of majority that you have it the moment you establish a checking or savings account. So no need to go to mom and ask for an appointment is what I was getting at.
Right.
Because it's implied, not expressed. You could do it, right? It would just look good on paper. But it's already been in place, and I'm 46, so since I was 18, so it's many years out. Not worth it.
I'm just more or less trying not only look at the principles he was talking about behind the relationships, but just see if I can find similar language in my local state codes or whatever.
I guess you could start where you found all the other law of agency codes in your state. Just do keyword searches.
Yeah, that's why I was going to ask him to post that Missouri code so I could look at, so I could read it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now.
The case is in the chat, but not the code. I think the case refers to the code, so you could Google it in there if you want to dig through it.
Oh, the case?
Yeah, it should be in the chat.
Okay.
Two links.
Hey, Pastor, you back?
Okay.
Probably means his wife or his boss called.
One of the bosses called, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I know that call.
He shouldn't have a boss. He owns his own truck.
You all got bosses.
So,
I mean, other
boss
I
than
do.
the customer.
broker, would it not be?
Yeah, he
Broker.
has a boss. I'm not sure if I don't think he owns the truck though. Because
Swear he told me he did, but
when his truck broke down, he had to clear it with his boss to know how much he was going to pay. Or the guy that runs the trucking service. JD owns his own trucks.
yeah, I know JD. I swear Pastor said he did own his own truck, but I could be wrong.
Well, can you own your own truck and still have somebody?
Well, he could have like a company that sells for him to get the loads. Because I drive truck and I had those options, but I hate over the road. Pastor's a different breed. I was ready to blow my brains out being out there alone.
Sometimes you got to use somebody's authority. I think it is too. So you can have your own truck, but not have certain authorities. So you got to go through certain brokers.
Yeah, to get the orders to deliver.
Yeah.
He might have a company that gets him loads. I don't know. I mean, that's what most of the guys did when they owned their own truck. I just drive locally now for a company, which I wish I didn't have to. I need to get rid of the tax part of it, but I don't know how to do that.
Now we have another question for him when he gets back.
I mean, I know you can do it through your W-4, but sometimes the companies get a little wigged out when you say tax exempt on it.
Right.
Because I changed it to the most people I could have for a, what do you call it? I put it 3 dependents, and they kind of looked at me funny.
Well, dependents mean children.
What about, have you guys seen how people are saying that, is it 12 USC 531? Or no, 26 USC 531. Or something went into effect on October 1st.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. I think that's just for, I'm not sure. I've seen it.
I mean, if you read it, it says all income derived therefrom, right? And it almost sounds like it's tax exemption for Federal Reserve employees. However, you could define that in a lot of ways. Income derived therefrom would be any bank Federal Reserve note would be income derived therefrom. Correct? I mean, that's how I kind of see it. I've never heard Pastor speak on this, so I'm going to ask him. That's another question.
Hey, Tim, did you see the thing Pastor uploaded about rights of parents?
Yeah, that's from the American jurisprudence. But he was saying there was a Missouri code he was reading off of. It had some very interesting.
Is that the notes of decision down below, the MOST? Would that be Missouri statute?
It might be. Let's see. I think so.
475.025.
I don't see that. Where's that at?
It's at the bottom, below credits, under notes of decisions. It says VAMS 475.025 and MOST.
Yeah, that might be it. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are we recording the silence in the room?
There he is. That Audi driving, draft dodging, son of a gun.
It's voluntary, sir.
Okay, I'm back. That was the office calling.
Okay, now we have a question. Do you own your truck? Partially
Yeah,
own it?
it's my truck. It's been financed.
Okay. And so, but you work for a guy who sends you out picking up orders, correct?
No, I book my own freight. I call the brokers. I negotiate my own rates.
Oh, okay.
And then they email it to him, and he just signs it. He verifies with me this was the agreed upon stuff, and the owner of the company, he signs it and cuts the checks, minus his percentage.
Oh, whoever you do business with, you mean? The broker? Yeah. Okay.
So what are you guys talking about in here?
Well, general discussion. We talked about agency first because Bitstream was trying to apply certain things.
I did see a video. I don't know if it was in this chat or one of the other 800 I'm in, of a guy went in to the court and the judge told him you're either the name or you're the agent.
Yes, that's the video I'm talking about, and the guy didn't even catch it.
Yeah, Keith.
And most of the people, they actually look at it the same way. They miss that part. They see
the
this
judge
guy
said it.
that had a success and walked out, and then all of a sudden, it's and then he looks out. The judge walks out, and they say, "Oh, we had a success." Y'all missed the entire thing of what the judge said twice.
Yeah, he said it 2 or 3 times at least. So. I'm out trying to be a good landlord. Get some glass, replacing some windows and stuff like that.
Oh, that CUSA videos, or on TikTok are freaking, just in the few minutes I posted, it's already had 20 people. But I've got like 12,500 followers on there.
So I was
So
thinking about.
Lance, oh, go ahead, Tim.
You're good. Also, after listening to your father, and of course I've heard it a million times because my Audi
Yeah.
or Audi whatever is clean title or whatever you want to say. I was thinking about just putting it into a trust and obviously not using it for commerce. See how it goes.
This is how the elite do it. I've give the example. Go look at the SEC. Let's do it. Let's see here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pull it up and then I can show you. Now, somebody's getting ready to join the group. Yeah, Dawn, if you don't mind watching while I'm looking in this up.
Okay.
He's coming from Telegram. SEC Edgar search. Search and access. Amazon. Search.
I did go to the tax assessor's office yesterday and asked some questions and got side-eyed, and one lady was giving me the look of death for the questions I was asking.
Yeah. Now, let's see here. Bunch of beneficial owner paperwork. Let's see. I want to find their prospectus. Because the prospectus lays out the private and public shares. And if you just learn to do keyword searches, you will very quickly find that it is owned by a trust. Let's go back up here. Let's see.
Well, technically, everything is owned by a trust.
Well, technically, yes.
Whether you know it or not.
Yes, technically, that is true. Let's see. So, Marvin, are you there? Please unmute for a second. Okay, since you're at work, just hear me out. You see in the chat group, lower the screen where we're talking, click on rows to show you're human, and then type the number 16. And if you can't type, even after you click to show you're human, okay, there you go, you're in. Because my bots keep trash out. Now, you asked about books. Start going through the file section. If you tap on the name at the top, where it says Bozlikos Nomos Chat, you're going to bring up a menu that says Media, Members, Files. Go into the Files section. There's all kinds of documents I've shared in there that is credible information because they're written either by attorneys or by the system. Let's go last 10 years. Nope, let's go since 2001. I'm trying to find their prospectus, and they did freaking change things. I don't want their 10K report. I don't want their 10Q. I want their B424 prospectus. They have definitely made it a little more difficult to find their prospectus. Huh, there's insider trading reports. Wow. I have noticed they are making it harder to find the prospectus. Okay, let's do this. Let's change it. Browse filing types. Let's do that. Now I can get there. Whoa, passed it. 424B5. B4, B3. Filter. Search. Oh, wow. Now it doesn't show up, and I've shown it many times. So let's do it this way. Copy. Okay, now turn my screen on, start. Let's see. Let's move it over here. Search. Trustee. Jeff Bezos is the trustee and beneficiary of the Geist Family Trust. So anybody out there saying you can't be a trustee and beneficiary, that proves they're wrong. Okay, now let's do the next search. Let's say each share of preferred stock has voting rights equivalent to the number of common shares issuable. If converted, the preferred stock also has preferential rights in the event of any distribution of assets upon liquidation of the company. So you see the same terms: trustees, trust, beneficiaries. Let's see. Benefits, right there. Beyond the benefits of selection, purchasing. So you see the trust language, okay? Search. Right there. Okay, let's see, there's that. So that's where it talks about, that's where they set everything up. In February 1995, the company sold 582,528 shares of common stock. There's a difference between common stock and preferential stock. Preferential stock are your private shares. Common stock are your public shares or your preferred stock. Right here it says preferred. Okay. So Amazon.com that is listed on the SEC is it's a trust. You could call it an investment trust. Okay. Now, let's go here. NCSOS. Online service. Let's change it this way. SOSNC. Business search right there. Have they got it down right now? It looks like it. So it's down at the moment. Quick links. The reason I was going to go there is because if you go to your state and you look up Amazon, you will find out there's an entity registered at your state. Are they the same entity? They look like it by the name, but by law, they are not. So your state registered business is leasing all the assets of the trust. That's how you legally transfer money. See what I'm saying? So the trust owns the warehouse, the trust owns the land, the property, the trucks, whatever. And what happens? You write a contract between the state business and the trust to lease the property. Yeah, they've got it down for right now. I don't understand why.
Well, that's kind of how I was setting my stuff up. Now that I've got my trust set up, I do have some LLCs, right? Even my quote unquote personal quote unquote vehicles, I'm leasing those to the business, and the business is making the payments or the lease agreement, which is more than what the payment is, to account for, insurance and maintenance of the vehicle, right? And then the business gets to, in turn, to deduct that cost for the lease on taxes.
Right. Now, Lance, being if you are your own person, you need to be careful. You cannot do but so many LLCs and trust, because you would have to manage them all. If you have much more than 2 LLCs and 1 trust, they're going to start frowning upon it, because after that you got to start hiring other managers.
Well, kind of how I've got it done is I have a trust, and my trust owns my I call it my personal LLC, and then my partner has a personal LLC, and then 50-50 ownership of the parent company, which fully owns our operating company.
Yeah.
And
now, I think you can legally get away with 2 LLCs by yourself. You have 1 LLC that is the holding company that holds all the assets in a trust. Then you have a second LLC that is the management company that you appoint to be the trustee. One of you, now since you have 2 people, this is beautiful. You are the CEO of one, he is the CEO of the other, but you're both on the board of directors.
Yeah,
And
he's CEO of the operating company. I'm CEO of the holding company.
yes, so well, the reason I bring that up is, you, the man, are in the private. Okay, if you have an LLC, one that you appoint as trustee, aka the management company, the board of directors makes a decision when they sign their paper. They call it Lance LLC, Lance Management LLC, comma, trustee. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I just heard you talking about the, Jeff Bezos and the trust stuff and all that stuff. So, of course,
Yeah.
my LLCs are, they basically, only pull in the income that I put out, right? So
Yes.
that's why I personally, the Social Security man don't have any income because the business does everything.
Well, yes, but there's a better way to operate that I can't go into all that in here.
Well, I'll just put it real easy. So if you have $100,000, quote unquote, income from a W-2 job, you have to pay taxes on that, and then everything, and nothing is deductible. Your car bill, utility bill, blah 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 is not, quote unquote, deductible. But if you run it through your LLC and make a applicable agreement between not the man, but your Social Security and the business, as through a lease agreement, and that's why you want to do a lease agreement, because 100% of that's tax deductible on the business side. You don't.
Yes.
So if you have the agreement, you put funds into the business account. The business account pays the lease, and all they do is turn around and send the money back to you for the lease agreement, and then you in turn take the money and make the payments on it.
Yeah.
It's
Well, actually, you missed it earlier. I was talking about public and private. I had a nice conversation with a banker yesterday, and I will not disclose everything because, we went into trade secrets. But he confirmed and told me twice that what my theory sounded right. Because he told me at the beginning, he said, I can't give you financial advice. I said, I don't want advice, but your opinion would be helpful. So, public and private don't mix. And the problem is we're only operating on the public side. We're not setting up our private side. That's where the trust comes in when you set things up right. And you have two bank accounts. You have one on the private, one on the public. But the majority of the people never get to the private side because they absolutely do not understand. If you go down to your local branch office, even if you have an EIN for your trust, that is still a public account.
Yes, you have to ask for specific forms to make it the private side. It's basically you want it to be non-interest bearing, and there's some other forms and stuff that you gotta ask for, and they're probably not gonna know, right? So they're gonna have to ask somebody higher up.
Well, you actually have to have all your paperwork in order, and they have to invite you to that side. There is a private side of every banking institution.
Well, it's public mirrors the private.
Yeah.
That's why I believe, and I don't know, that, when they're taking your interest and your derivatives and all that stuff, that goes to their private side of the bank ledger, not the public side.
There's actually four sides to the ledger. When you are a depositor on the public side, you're actually the creditor because the deposit you can go look in the file section, Lance, look up Enri Celsius Network LLC. This was a recent bankruptcy ruling. And in that ruling, this was January 4th of this year. in that ruling, the judge basically lays out that the depositors are the creditors. Isn't that what's been going on? So now the depositors, since they are the creditors, now the bank has a liability. Liabilities get taxed. So how do they convert that liability to an asset? They loan out your money to some unsuspecting person that doesn't understand the banking system, and you give them your wealth on the repayment, quote unquote, of the loan, and they convert it to an asset because you were voluntarily transferring your wealth. See what I'm saying?
That's true, and that's why some people that go to their banks after they've already opened an account say, hey, I want this turned into a non-interest bearing, and they close their accounts. It's because they have transferred their liability back over to the bank, and it don't benefit them, so they close your account.
Yep.
Another similar bankruptcy example of that is Circle Bank. That was the one that was getting involved with crypto and standard banking. They have the same thing. Their notice went out, and the committee of creditors was their patrons.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason, like a credit union, you're a member of the members, because that technically the member bank, right? Credit union, when you're each individual, you do a membership, quote unquote, whether it be $25, and you're a member of the credit union.
Yes.
So,
but on the public side, the Social Security side, your rights are very limited, because the one thing that you're not doing is you're not filling out the proper forms to the proper places to get shares of the banks. You're not setting up all your documents to do the banking, and you're not getting the certifications needed on the private side.
Well, I mean, honestly, if you're going to go through all that work, I believe that just go ahead and do the additional work and become your own bank. I mean,
well, why would I want to become my own bank, or would it be better just to acquire the shares of that bank by filling out the proper forms in the proper places? So when you have that private side bank, now that bank becomes your broker, and you have shares of that bank. I've seen it on the Federal Reserve website where people have set their stuff up this way. And that includes an individual, a single person, family trust, or BlackRock.
But if you become your own bank, quote unquote, you're pretty much able to deal with the Treasury directly.
Why would I want to worry about that instead of say, hey, get shares of that bank and they go to the Treasury for you and broker your notes?
Yeah,
and
but
you still receive the book entry credits, Lance.
That's true, but then you have to find a bank that will be honorable on the private side. It's not the public side you got to worry about, it's the private side.
Finding that is not an issue. That's why I said if you don't know the rules and you're going to play with the big boys, you're going to get yourself in trouble. That's why you got to know the rules. I don't need to create a whole nother bank when the whole system is set up there for you to use. You just got to use it right.
But wouldn't you have to, to be part, have quote unquote shares of a bank? Wouldn't you basically have to be invited in?
Well, that's when you get the private account. You are invited in. But that's where you have to know banking, and you have to know what you're doing, and you have to set everything up right. And then when you fill out the forms You acquire the shares because the shares come directly from the Federal Reserve. Now you're a shareholder for that banking institution that your private account is with. Like I said, I've seen the evidence of this.
Earlier, I think before Tim started talking to you, I think you said my name. Do you remember what you wanted to say?
Well, I don't recall it, but oh yeah, I said, hey, what'd you think about those that video I sent you?
I haven't got the chance to look at it yet, but it's about the Coops, right?
Oh yeah, I called QSIP.com yesterday and had a conversation with them over the QSIP numbers and the legal entity identifier numbers.
Yeah.
These people out there that was showing that GMEI utility is tied to your stuff. No, it's not. And the QSIPs, no, you don't understand how QSIPs work. So we had a discussion over the phone, and I put that recording up on YouTube and in TikTok.
So that's the one you sent me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look. I'll listen to it. So my new focus and attention has to go towards the IRS because I got this nice letter in the mail that, you know, I owe money from 2020. So I've got to.
Oh, that's easy. You need to go watch the video I put up. That what Mark did. He made 70,000 disappear.
Yeah,
and he's reading his letter for word. That's why I say you need to go watch that video.
Which video was that?
It's if you know the rules. Let's see. When you know the rules. Let's see. When you know the rules. This one. Share. Telegram. Right here.
Got it.
He sent that. I've got a copy of his letter. He sent that to the proper parties, including the U.S. attorney. And he didn't deny that the money was owed. He just said, yeah, I'll be more than happy to settle this matter as soon as you do, blah, blah, blah. And that was last June. He has not heard another word.
So basically, when you send that letter, that's a conditional acceptance, and they don't answer, then you basically just notify them that they've defaulted on the information, so you don't owe it.
Yeah. Because why? Yeah, they can say you owe money, but what species? Just a thought.
Yeah, exactly. Because technically, the letter I got says that it's a bill, right? Which means it's a debt that owed, which is not my obligation to pay. It's the United States obligation to pay.
Now, the other thing is, I helped Mark when I said, did you get a coupon? He said, yeah, I did. I said, go get that coupon. We wrote his cover letter as an agent. He paid me pretty nice to help him do it, too. And we sent it to the Treasury, and we did the 3 notices. And now when he logs into his account, the money that's supposedly owed, it shows it. But when he clicks on it, it tells him we can't show you any information.
Well, then would that be a FOIA request?
I wouldn't worry about it. If it don't show you any information, it says we can't show you anything. It's because why? They know you know the game.
Yeah, I'll look at that. I'll look at that video.
Plus, then you got also the whole thing of that people are not filling out their documents right. They're just not filling them out. And and I am experiencing success because my dad does this. Everybody works under him does this. He met a guy the other day that's been doing it the exact same way for the last 6 years. So Mark actually did his 1040 and filled it out exactly the same way. And all the money that was paid in, he will get back. He probably will get back with interest too, like Dad did.
Well, that would be where, yeah, I remember you talking about this 6-8 months ago, and it sounds like they did that 10. It's a 1040 or 1040V.
No,
It's
1040.
1040, right?
Yeah, 1040.
So
all the
basically,
numbers on it. All the numbers on it are you voluntarily put numbers on it instead of putting 0.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Now look at this. Look at this. I want to share this link. If the stuff I'm telling you, I'm getting it straight from the freaking horse's mouth. Open that link.
Oh, the Federal Reserve.
Open the link, and I want you to scroll down a little bit. This database contains 98 records that match the search criteria. The first one is 1831 Bancorp MHC and its wholly owned subsidiary.
Yeah.
And it says to acquire South Shore Bancorp MHC and its wholly owned subsidiary, Southcore Bancorp, blah, blah, blah. 5th Generation Holdings Incorporated to become a bank holding company by acquiring Groom Bank Shares Incorporated. Aaron Andrew Robertson Speedwell, Tennessee, to retain voting shares. But you scroll through this list, you will see names like you're like sitting there saying, "Oh, holy, wait a minute, these are individuals." Big Poppy Holdings to acquire additional voting shares up to 24.99% of Summit State Bank, both of Santa Rosa, California. That's on page 2. Big Poppy Holdings. Did he create his own private bank account and he filled out the proper forms to acquire shares of the bank he's at?
Sounds, yeah, I mean, that's in line with what you talked about earlier.
Yes. BlackRock Incorporated to acquire additional voting shares of Banner Corporation and thereby indirectly acquire additional voting shares of Banner Bank, both of Walla Walla, Washington. See, when you follow the rules, you can acquire these things. They tell us exactly how to do everything.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Right here, go to page 3.
Hang on. Let me get back to it.
F. Austin Jones individually and as co-trustee of the David A. Jones Irrevocable Trust and the F. Austin Jones Irrevocable Trust, all of Grinnell, Iowa, to retain voting shares of Grinnell Bank Shares Incorporated and thereby indirectly retain voting shares of Grinnell State Bank, both of Grinnell, Iowa.
And it says co-trustee.
Yeah, he was a trustee and co-trustee. There was 2 trusts set up. He was trustee of one and co-trustee of the other.
So he was trustee of his own and then co-trustee of someone else's.
Another one, yeah. He got an invite to the back office, created his private bank, and filled out the proper paperwork to acquire shares of that bank. I've got all this information right on Westlaw. And I could easily put the information online for 10 grand. Will I do it? No, because why? People that don't know what they're doing will get themselves in trouble. Even if they paid that amount of money. If they don't know the rules, why am I going to put it out there and risk somebody getting in trouble? And a majority of the people out there are getting themselves in trouble because they're listening to all these gurus, the SPC people, Anna
would
Von
that
Reeds, David Straight, et cetera, et cetera.
would that be like, say for instance, you had, you know, bonds and money orders and blah 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 already submitted, and you know they're in the system. That would be a way to possibly get control of those if you became part of the private side of the bank and have shares of it.
That's part of the process. That's not the only thing. There's a lot of paperwork involved in setting up a private bank. It's not just creating a trust, okay? I mean, if you look at most of the banks, they tell you what they are. You'll see some bank and trust company or some bank and trust, and the people just look at it as a bank. They put it right in your face. It's a trust. To get a CUSIP number, then you have to actually have either a public offering or a private offering. That's what that video tells you. That's what the guy said. To get a CUSIP number, we need to see your public offering or your private offering. Now, what is an offering? Shares. How many shares does your trust have? That's what Amazon put up on the SEC. They have common stock, which is what the common people buy into for their retirement. And then they have preferred stock, which is their private shares. We can literally look up all these companies' stuff, go look up the laws to make sure that we do it right and we know how to defend it. And we can use their words. But again, if people run out there and do that and they don't know the rules to the game, eventually they're going to get themselves in trouble. Because are you going to copy Amazon's word for word and just change the names to fit your need? No, because some of the stuff they got in theirs, it doesn't apply to you. Because why? You may not have the proper offices and businesses set up like they do.
Yeah.
And you don't have the employees to manage those things, like your different LLCs and your different trusts and this, that, and the other.
Which,
I
if
can
you
tell
think
you
about
now,
it, that's the same thing as, you know, the government that has all the trusts, quote unquote, set up, right? They don't have the same one person for the trustee for all the trusts they set up. It's different people.
Well, the Social Security Trust has the trustees, and they change every 4 years. But yeah, same thing. I mean, then you've got other trustees for other trusts, like USDA. There's an underlying trust behind that. I guarantee it. That's why there is a United States trustee program, and you have public trust and public trustees and private trustees, and that's listed on the DOJ website. What do the trustees manage? Bankruptcy, because the United States has been in Chapter 11 bankruptcy since 33, and technically, the nation was founded in bankruptcy.
About 1789?
1776.
1776.
Go read the Treaty of Paris. Why was it started in bankruptcy? Because yes, did we win the Revolutionary War? No, it was a truce. and the states were badly in debt, and King George gave them the gold to get them out, to give them a loan to get them out of debt. And if you read the Treaty of Paris of 1783, he declared the states to be sovereign. But did he declare the capital? No. He kept interest in the capital. At that time, it was in Philadelphia, and eventually it got moved to D.C.
So technically, they still have interest in D.C.
Correct. That's part of the reason why the federal government is a foreign jurisdiction to the states. Because the states are their own sovereign entity.
Well, that if you think about it like this, and I know you know this, so I'm saying it for others on the call. Being that D.C. is a foreign to the United States, right? Even though it's the United States of America, so they operate as the United States. Being that they're foreign, and all businesses, quote unquote LLCs, blah blah blah, and corporations and persons, right? Because if you're a person, you're a
franchises
corporation,
of the United States.
Are franchises of Washington D.C., which is tied to a foreign entity. That's why there's a specific difference between, on the land and in the land, so to say. For state, everything's funneled all the way up. You have your municipalities and lowest forms of government, right, quote unquote municipalities, which in turn is registered through the county, which is registered through the state, which is registered through D.C. So it all funnels back to D.C. anyways.
Move. Well, it's not just that it's funneled back through D.C. Think about something. The location of the debtor is where? It's clearly laid out in the UCC. It's in the, stop, Luna. In the United States. Right? So the Social Security person, that trust, is a resident in a state. Because why? A resident is doing business.
Doing business as.
Yeah. You, the man, are not the resident. You, the man, are not the trust. Okay? But you're doing business in that state using that trust, and that places it under commerce because it is not domiciled in D.C. where it's supposed to be.
Which is why they have attached the, your birth certificate and Social Security to the man, because you are acting as both at the same time, public and private.
No. They didn't attach it to you. You attached it to you by your words and actions.
Well,
what does people do? They go into court. Yep, that's my name. Okay, you just attached yourself to it. You created the joinder.
Yeah,
I've got a letter from the Treasury that plainly says that those accounts ain't linked to y'all, ain't linked to us. We believe they're linked to us. See, voluntary servitude is still legal.
Well, it's done through consent.
You consent by your actions. See, you cannot go in and say, I don't consent. That's not how you do it. How do you not consent? By learning the rules and becoming competent. Because one, if they claim that's your name, they got to prove the claim, right? Can they? No. The birth certificate's double hearsay. State v. Gray in the file section says that. So it's double hearsay. The Social Security card says it's their property, so that means it can't be you, because that would be a violation of the Northwest Ordinance that made slavery illegal. So you've got all these problems that they can't get around if they're going to say it's you. And just hypothetically say, well, they still say it's you. Well, I conditionally accept your offer, Your Honor. And since every man has a right to a good name, who do I invoice for the misuse of my good name?
Well, I mean, all that stuff is they're acting under the UCC anyways.
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. It's not just the UCC is just the codification of the common law of contracts. Okay, and statutes and codes outside of the UCC are a lot of contracts. That's why I bring up the Ashwander rule. Rule number 6 says if you receive a benefit from a statute or code, you cannot come back later and claim it's unconstitutional. Why? You contracted. You got to get rid of the contracts first before you, the man, can argue constitutionality.
Well, the number one thing I believe would be getting rid of the contract that attaches most people to statutes and codes is your driver's license. I know I keep saying that, but
no.
I mean,
that name is still their property. That driver's license, first in line, first in time, is still owned by the state. You are not contracting with your state properly, saying, hey, this is your property. You want evidence? Y'all can suspend it. Y'all can seize it. Y'all can take it away from me. Because why? The owner has the fundamental right to dispose of that property any way they see fit. So since they are the owner, we need to stop accepting the liability and put the liability back on the owner and say, hey, since you say I have to use it and slavery is illegal, I retain my use of it, but you're the liable party. I will send you everything. That's the short version.
Well, I mean, that goes back. I mean, that's in line with aberration of the go clause, right? They took our go and in lieu of giving us, they took our property with the promise of, doing all that.
Well, what is property? Property is rights and interests. Property is not the tangible item. Yes, Jimbo.
Hey, so the license, the state, they own that name too, and the Social Security owns the name also.
Yep.
Okay, so they both own it, but they're different entities, or they're both
not. They're not exactly different. They're all tied to the social underlying. Because why? What is the what is the first 2 documents they want to see when you go get a driver's license for the first time? The birth certificate and the social. Now, do they have other options if you don't have those? Oh, yes. Bring in a power bill. Well, what's the power bill attached to?
A Social Security number.
Everything goes back to the social. And the trustees can write the name any way they want. It's their property.
Which is why on some state license, your last name is first. Some places is first, middle, last. Some is last, middle, first. Last, first, middle.
And this is also why even I kick myself in the butt. Because no matter how many times I saw the license, if you look on the license, you will see 2 names on there. You'll see the last comma, first, middle, and then you'll see the first, middle, last. And we only look at the first, middle, last, and we don't even think about the other one, and we were blind to it. I didn't even see it until it was pointed out. And it was right in front of my face. I said, holy crap. So learning to be observant of what the terms of the contract are matters. Because how they write the name is also a term of the contract. So technically, you could argue the point, because the courts will agree with that. There are 2 entities on that birth certificate. You have the trust name, and then you have the state name. The courts will view that as 2 separate entities.
So I found out some information that I thought was a little funny and I thought I'd share. So when I say here local, in the county next to me, that county courthouse is like, I don't know, 4 miles from here. My county courthouse is a mile. Anyway, so this judge got sentenced to 4 years for taking money from quote unquote funds for personal use, right? And that was actually the next, like 2 counties over, but it also happened in the county next to me, right? Which is the same judge that, well, not same judge. So you have obviously you have district and then circuit court.
Yes.
I know you know the difference, so I'm not going to get into it. But so basically, that goes back to, you know, the administrative money. You know, when they say, oh well, you know, we'll dismiss it if you'll pay, you know, court costs or into this quote unquote fund or whatever. So
That's
I guess
also called bail.
Yeah. So what they did was if the judge was able to take money from a fund, means that the judge has interest in that fund, which in turn, if they say you have to put money into this fund, right? That's another way for them to not be honorable in their position, because it's beneficial for them for you to put money into the fund.
Well, actually, for the most part, the government is honorable. Remember, they wrote the rules. They set the rules up, and they follow their rules.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that video. And you said he word for word put on what he's put on the letter?
Yeah, he's reading his letter right there on. He put this on TikTok. I downloaded videos, put it on my YouTube, and sent it to him.
Well, being that, you know, even the government says taxes are voluntary, it's done through consent. Where I have a problem is if you quote unquote, you know, get a job somewhere and you're going to be a quote unquote employee, they're the ones that tell you, oh, you have to fill out a W-2. Oh, no, you can't fill out a W-8. You got to fill out a W-2.
Well, you know what you do in that case? You say, okay, don't worry, I will get back to you on this, okay? And you tell them that you write a letter to the same people he talked about, minus the U.S. Attorney General. Okay? Let me show you. See, we keep going to their low-level agents, right?
Yeah.
Office of Counsel, IRS. Now, check this out. Stop going to low-level people and asking them things they probably don't freaking know. Okay. Office of Chief Counsel at a glance. And when he is reading his letter in that video, he is quoting the mission statement word for word. All he did was copy the mission statement right into the letter. And he didn't source it. He didn't say, see, link, you know, he just quoted it word for word. He said, your duty is to do blah, blah, blah. And what does it say? Serve America's taxpayers fairly and with integrity by providing correct and impartial interpretation of the Internal Revenue laws and the highest quality legal advice and representation for the Internal Revenue Service. On that class I did on the proper way to do tax exemption, I told everybody, I said, if they won't take your documents, write a letter to this guy and say, hey, your duty is blah, blah, blah. So I tried to give this list of documents to the employer. They refused to take it. Please advise. Leave it that simple. Because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. But people don't think about their writings. They only think about their words. And the writings are your words because they can only see what's on paper. Long time no see, She-Wolf.
Yeah, I'm listening here. I love that about the words. That people only knew in the beginning was the word, which means that was your frequency. And if you have a bad frequency when you're writing somebody and you're angry and stuff, it's going to have a negative impact on you.
Well, not only that, if you write a book, you give them everything they need to get out of it probably, or turn it against you. So keep it simple, stupid. The KISS method.
Yeah, I was talking to a tax assessor for the local government, and I'm asking them, why are we paying the taxes? And she said, because it goes to like the firefighters and the schools and the paramedics. And I said, yeah, but why are we paying this? Is this a mandate? I'm just saying, I'm not saying I oppose to it. I just want to know, is it a mandate? And she said, no, everybody has to pay it in every state. That's why. And I said, that's not a good reason.
Hold on, She-Wolf. What is the payment for?
She said that the local property tax is for the firefighters, police, schools, and like paramedics and stuff.
Yeah, but see, the thing you're still not getting is you think they're asking you, the woman, to pay it. No, they're not. Isn't it tied to the social?
Yeah.
You are the agent for the social. The agent is never liable for the principal. You're not notifying the principal, hey, your person has a matter that needs to be settled.
Okay. Now here's my question, because that's very good that you bring this up. So who are we going to see? I'm getting ready to do the paperwork up right now, but who should be paying that tax for these people to have their funds and not come after you, which is, she says, if you don't pay it, then the IRS could come after you and take your home.
How many times have I shown the list of trustees on the Social Security website?
Many. There's 4 of them, right?
6 of them, actually. But yeah, I only concentrate on the first 4.
Okay. So I haven't been on lately because, I told you my spouse almost passed away on me. But I don't mind you doing a call again on who should be responsible and why should we be contacting the trustees of Social Security.
I've got a book in my file section on Gilbert's law summary on agency partnerships and LLCs. Because, so what if you send it to them? If you don't know your position as the agent and know how to defend it, or what you going to do? Right.
Like, you got to know what your position.
That's why I did a law of agency class that lasted 6 months, because it was detailed. That little book is not as detailed. It's a test prep book, but it's still got meat and potatoes in it because it gives you the basic foundation.
Okay.
If you're the
agency and partnerships, right? Now, let me ask you, when you're seeing agents, are we supposed to notify the state that we're only the agent, or are we supposed to notify Social Security that we're the agent?
The agents sold, this, you were a clerk of court. What's the sole purpose of a registered agent?
The registered agent is who handles all the paperwork.
And who do they supposed to send it to?
Well, I don't send it directly. I only do whatever they tell me to do.
But you know about service of process.
Yeah.
The registered agent is to forward all notices, all demands, and all processes to the principal.
Right. That's true.
The principal
But
if the principal is not notified, what happens? They say improper service of process.
now let me ask you though, like that agent, is supposed to forward that to the principal, but who exactly is the principal?
Again, are the trustees in trust law the legal owner of the property?
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
That's simple trust law.
Yeah, but the trustees don't own it.
Yes, they do. You don't own it.
Yeah, but the trustees, I don't think they own it though.
Yes,
I think they're
do.
just responsible for the duties. I was reading in some of the book. You correct me if I'm wrong. I was reading, I think, in this one book. I have to pull it up. I think it was one of the trust books. It says that the trustee is not allowed to take anything of property for themselves.
For themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Their private capacity.
Okay. But as a trustee, you can.
Trustee is the legal owner of the property.
Okay.
They have sole discretion. The beneficiary is the equitable owner. You are not the beneficiary. Okay. The trustees are the legal owner.
Okay.
They have sole discretion to manage.
That's why a trustee can use a vehicle that's in the trust. They're using it for doing the duties of the trust.
Right, they are. But you're saying they're the legal. Let me ask you this too. I was reading and I put a Chancery snippet out. I got to find it for you. I have it in my group. Where, there's these court cases in Chancery and these lawyers, they're mad because, the judges have been ruling that if we held the legal birth certificate and we were using the legal name, that we are legally, they wanted to take certain things away from the people, and the judges were ruling in favor of the people. They said, well, they are legally holding it, and they're claiming that they are the legal owners of the document when you purchase that birth certificate. Not equitable. When I talk to the clerk.
No, you are coming in as straw man. You are the straw man.
Okay.
What is a dummy in law?
But a straw man.
No, you are the straw man, not that trust. What is a dummy in law?
I don't know. What is it?
Let me see here.
I haven't heard anybody use that language.
Yeah, because you don't look up words.
Yeah, I do, but I just haven't looked up anything in the last 6 months. But my whole time is spent in these books.
Okay, let's do it this way. Let's go through some words.
I love when he does this.
One, a party who has no interest in a transaction but participates to help achieve a legal goal. Number two, a party who purchases property and holds legal title for another. You just said you purchased the birth certificate. The red number on the birth certificate is actually a receipt number. Okay? You are holding the state's property.
Yeah, and they also...
It says CF, let's go back, look right here, CF, that means compared to straw man number 3. So let's go to straw man number 3. A third party used in some transaction as a temporary transferee to allow the principal parties to accomplish something that is otherwise impermissible. Who are the principal parties? That's the state/government.
They're the
You are
principal.
you are the temporary transferee claiming to be the name. And what does it say after number 3? CF, dummy.
Okay.
You're playing the part of the straw man, not the trust.
Okay.
Now, let's go to owner. Beneficial owner, one recognized in equity as the owner of something because use and title belong to that person. So you are the beneficial owner.
Right.
Even though legal title may belong to someone else, especially one for whom property is held in a trust. And who are the trustees? Now, you are not the beneficiary. You notice it does not say beneficiary.
Right.
Now, watch this. The state is actually the beneficiary. Now, let's scroll down to beneficial ownership. A beneficiary's interest in trust property.
Okay.
But the agent can be the holder. Doesn't it tell you on the card you're the holder? Yes. The agent, the registered agent can be the beneficial owner because you are using it out there, creating chattel paper to make the trust profitable. But guess what you're not doing as the agent? You're not telling the trustees what you're doing. You're volunteering for all the liability. So the trustees can never set off the debt.
So we do have to contact the Social Security.
Yeah. And I don't care if they don't respond. If you do your administrative process and you do everything right, then you get what's called ratification, which means silence and acquiescence. And now you've got your packet together if you get drug into a court proceeding to show the judge, hey, I did my job. I notified the principal. Here's my packet. Do we have any further business, sir?
Right. Right. So you would have to notify like the Social Security and the state.
No, just the trustees. How
Right,
many times am I
right.
going to tell you this?
No, you're right. But doesn't the state also have trustees if they are a beneficiary?
No, they don't.
Okay.
The beneficiary has no decision-making power over the trust. If a beneficiary has decision-making power, the trust collapses, and then somebody gets in trouble. And I can't show you enough who the trustees are. The trustees have all the decision-making power.
Okay.
And look,
I wished I would have went to your course. I missed all of it.
it's join as a member, and it'll be there for you.
Where did I join?
On my website, Century members $125 a month, and right now we just started the first Saturday of October. We're going through contract law.
$125 a month?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Give me the website again.
Well.
Okay, you know what?
Let's do this.
I'll text.
Hold on.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
Under shop memberships. Okay. Here's what's included right now. once I start Bozelicos Nomos TV, that'll be included, as in
Right.
recorded videos. 3
Okay.
hours of private phone consultations a month, availability to schedule at your leisure.
Right.
Not included is development of paperwork and contracts. Workshops are first and third Saturday of the month. It says that the workshops are done via Zoom and recorded on the first and third Saturday of each month. These are shared via Google Drive, plus provide an email that works with Google Drive. And there's a membership group where every Saturday at that same time, we're meeting, discussing, and perfecting paperwork and discussing what we're learning. Those are recorded and put into the files, and they're on the membership area on the website. You get a personalized coupon code that gives you a 20% discount store-wide for everything else. And also you see the members only Telegram group. But here's the link. And the agency class is pretty much, I haven't got it down to the minute, but it's over 100 hours worth of videos.
Okay. That's not a problem for me.
Yeah, it's very detailed because we are going through Corpus Juris Secundum.
Oh yeah, that's pretty heavy duty for sure.
But it tells you all the principles. The principles are there. Once you know the principles, then you can start acting like you should.
Right.
All right, Pastor.
Yes, Jimbo.
All right. Building on what was said before about, okay, when you were going to send, if the Secretary of State, the state owns the name too. So if you're going to forward all stuff to the Secretary of State, they're not technically a trustee to handle that. So
correct.
Forwarding it to them.
That's why I wouldn't send it to them. Remember you talked to Myron Rice and he was sending.
No, I remember that. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking that question, because if it's they're in charge of it, also their duty would then be to handle it with the trustee.
Yeah, well, that would be the case, yes. But if you remember, after you talked to Myron Rice, I talked to Myron Rice, and I got a little more detail on what he did. And I asked him one question. I said, why would you send the bills to the beneficiaries? He said, what do you mean? I showed him the link on the Social Security website. He said, oh my God, that changes everything. I said, don't it?
Pastor.
Yeah.
I have to leave. Will you send me the link, what you're talking about right now?
I shared it in the group. I shared it in the group.
Like today?
Yeah, just now.
Okay, let me go in there because I have to run, but I want to talk to you I don't want to keep you busy. I know you're as busy as I am, but I'm going to join your group. I'll be joining on there. I will talk to you soon.
Talk to you
Thank
later.
you. Okay, bye.
Yeah, Jimbo, I actually had a conversation and it's really weird. We recorded that conversation on Skype. And then when we ended the call, the recording wouldn't show up for either one of us.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Listening.
So, yeah, but he point blank, he had never saw who the trustees actually were. And when I showed him that, he said, oh my God, that changes everything. I said, don't it?
So, but when you go into court, say you're into court, is the judge actually a trustee at that point?
It's possible because remember, you have there's 6 trustees, right?
Right. The ones aren't filled in there, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually 8 positions. Now, let's go back here. SSA. It says there are 6 members, 4 of whom automatically serve by virtue of their position. Well, here's the thing. Let's see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scott Elfray's the last one. So technically there's 7. and 2 of them are vacant, and they're called public trustees. Is it possible? This is complete speculation on my part, understanding how the system is set up. Is it possible in a court case that the DA and the judge is assuming that role to administer the trust? I think they are.
To be.
Now, can I prove it? No. Now, we would literally have to go all the way back to 1945 when they finalized everything. Potentially. We might have to go all the way back to 1933 and start coming forward and finding all the laws that were precursors to the Social Security Act. But what year did they institute the public trustees? Let's see. Let's see. What year did they actually bring that to fruition? And sometimes it wouldn't be a bad idea just to call the Social Security and ask them. You know, if you ask the right questions, you get the right answers. But we're not going to find the law by asking questions to them. See, it's one thing of knowing what they did. It's another thing of knowing how they did it. And we're having to reverse engineer everything.
Okay, I got another question here. Just thinking kind of now, if you're ever in court, and okay, you're not supposed to discuss the public debt. So if you make it so it's private, and then you end up in the judge's chambers, what is say my relationship with the judge there now? Is he
you're still the agent for the trust no matter what it is. Now, if just because you go into his...
I give the judge direction then. Can I give the judge direction on what I want then?
No, just because you're in private chambers doesn't mean you're now equal. Now, if he takes his robe off and doesn't take the judicial seat and comes down in front of the judge's seat in court, now he's speaking to you man to man. Boris has talked about that because he had it happen. But you can see right there in 1990 is when they started the 2 public trustees. Well, that's when they became vacant. Right there in 89, you have public trustees. You have in 88. Let's go back, see when we actually see the term public trustees show up. Okay, we don't see it actually show up until 1985. So I wonder what happened in 1985. See, they fixed this system and set it all up to where they would assume all the liability. That goes all the way back to the congressional record, March 9th, 1933. That's why they call it a government obligation. We're just not giving them their obligations. Even Eon has talked about this under the title gifting debt to the United States. Well, really, can you gift them debt? No, it's their debt. You're just giving it back to them. Does that help out, Jimbo?
Sure did. Okay, also, well, maybe since those are blank, is there a chance that if you were sending something to the Secretary of State that they could play the role of trustee?
Don't know. The beneficiary can be a trustee.
Yep, okay.
someone can act as a trustee and beneficiary, but do they list them as trustee? No. Now, under the law, when it comes to a public office, is it not a public trust?
It is.
Even Black's Law Dictionary says that. Let's check office. Public office, see public office. A position whose occupant has legal authority to exercise a government's sovereign powers for a fixed period. Now, let's see. I saw a definition the other day. Oh, okay. Y'all want to be that way, huh? Then let's do this. Public action, public advocate. Let's see. Okay, let's go here. Let's go here. There's a lot of public stuff. Holy crap. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, public trust. Oh, look at there. See, charitable trust under trust. Let's go there. A public trust is a charitable trust, or can be. So, I did see a definition one day where it said a public office. It may have been public official, but I'm thinking it was a public office. Where it said it is a public trust. So let's scroll down. I'm going to figure out where I saw it at. Governmental trust, a type of charitable trust established to provide a community with facilities ordinarily supplied by the government. Well, what did it say a minute ago about public trust? It said seed charitable trust, right? Charitable trust, a trust created to benefit a specific charity, specific charities, or the general public rather than a private individual or entity. Charitable trusts are often eligible for tax treatment if the trust eligible for favorable tax treatments. If the trust terms do not specify a charity or a particular charitable purpose, a court may select a charity. See Uniform Trust Code, Section 405, also termed public trust. Now, yeah, public trust goes back to charitable trust. And I know I saw it somewhere. So where public trust, let's do it this way. Let's see, is it public trust doctrine? The principle of navigable waters are preserved by public use, and the state is responsible for protecting the public's right of use. Nope, that's not it. So let's do this. Public office. A public office is a franchise conferred by the government of the state or municipality, either by election or appointment. And I know I saw it somewhere. I'm gonna have to freaking find it, because it's not actually saying it in Black's 11th. Right there, office, a position of duty, trust, or authority, especially one conferred by government authority for a public purpose. A division of the U.S. government ranking immediately below a department, a place where a business is conducted or services are performed. In sense 3, an office may be a building, a suite of rooms in the building, or an individual room within the building or suite. Context usually clarifies the precise sense. But if you look at definition 1, a position of duty, trust, or authority. So it's still there, but it doesn't specifically say it's a public trust.